You know, there are some days when I feel very lucky to have the job that I have, but tonight I feel so fortunate that I don't even know where to begin to start. Doris Roberts is just a tremendous talent. She's been acting for so many years, and she's going to tell us an awful lot of stories about her career. But the other part of Doris's life that I'm so respectful of is that she's a person who stands up. She stands up for injustices like ageism, which is rampant in our business. And it's great to know that we've got a crusader on our side looking out for where all of us are going to eventually wind up. Isn't that right? We're all getting older, by the minute. So it's just good to know that we have people that care and who are willing to stand up and speak their mind about it. Just before we came out here, we were talking about, what kind of house we had. And I said, well, we've got a pretty good house. And she goes, well, I thought everybody would be home watching Carrie's speech on television. And I said, well, you know what, if they are and they're paying attention to the political process, and she interrupted and she said, that's fine by me. So that's the kind of person that we have here tonight. She's a wonderful actress and a good citizen, and give her, please, a warm Screen Actors Guild welcome, Doris Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. All right, now. Yeah.
So I told you we'd have a good crowd.
Great.
You know?
We're not home watching Kerry, but we'll vote for him.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I know you've got a
pleasure.
very busy schedule, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Great.
Let's say we start at the beginning. We'll begin at the beginning. Huh?
Okay.
You were born in St. Louis, is that right?
St. Louis.
Yeah.
I lasted there 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Were you asked to leave, or did you
no,
leave on your own?
I once, during an interview, said I crawled out of that city, which wasn't too smart to do. But I've done some things in my life that are not too smart, but that's okay.
Yeah.
My mother was visiting her sister,
Uh-huh.
who was in St. Louis, and that's how I was born there.
Uh-huh.
But I was raised in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
My mother owned a public stenography firm that was in the Times building, and we did all the plays on Broadway.
Right.
We typed them, and then we mimeographed them, and we did, it was wonderful because I was able to see lots of great stars who came through that office. you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was always enamored about that. In fact, my mother would allow me to play hooky on Wednesday for a matinee 'cause we got free tickets.
Uh-huh.
I don't tell that to my grandchildren, but
What's your first recollection of a play where you were just knocked out by it? And I mean, was there one early memory? Of a play?
yes, there
Yeah.
was. My ship has sails that are made of gold. Remember that?
I sort of.
And it had. Oh my God! Now have I lost that name? It's a moment. It's okay. There may be many moments like that.
Take all the moments you like.
It was
We're
Danny
here.
Kaye.
Ah, there you go.
Danny Kaye, and it was the first time. He really was extraordinary. He was like lightning in a bottle on that stage. But I was very fortunate that I went to see many plays as a child. Many, 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 many. I remember one called Follow the Girls, and it had Gertrude Nielsen in it, and Jackie Gleason.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So I've seen a lot,
Yes, indeed.
and continue to see more.
You still go to theater? Do you still go?
I go to the theater all the time.
Yeah.
I also go to class.
You still go to
in
class?
Saturday mornings, I go to Milton Kutzella's.
I love that. I mean, that is so cool. I mean, what makes you, at your level of a career, want to still stay in class?
Well, I
What-
can learn. For
Yeah.
instance, a little over a month and a half ago, he asked me to do the Empress in Anastasia, which I did, and I thought it was very good. The class thought it was good. They gave me a standing ovation. And I had done a lot of research on the Empress, and I had pictures of her, which I imitated. I wore a wig and a hat and a little funny fur thing around my neck, exactly what was in the book. And Milton Kutzella said, well, that's very good, but I want it to be mythical. And I thought, what the hell does that mean? Mythical. I've just done a great job on that.
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
What's mythical?
Right.
But he said, I don't like the hat, and I don't like the wig, and I said, but Milton, look, and I showed him the picture. It was identical to the picture.
Yeah.
And he said, that's that empress. I want to see what Doris Roberts brings in as an empress. And so I did it again, and I want to tell you, I was incredible. I was mythical. But what that taught me, and we all need to learn this, we keep waiting for permission for people to tell us how to do it, when to do it, if to do it.
Right.
We can't do that anymore.
Right.
We have to give ourselves permission. And as a result of doing that in that class, I went to New York and I did an encore version of Bye Bye Birdie. Well, let me tell you, I'd never been in a musical before. That's work. Oh my God. I turned to my son and I said, listen, don't book me for any, he's my manager, don't book me for any more musicals, I can't do it. So he called his wife and said, I got you and the kids on a plane tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Yeah. I want my kids to see their grandma on a Broadway stage. Oh. So they all came in and I was so nervous, I thought I would die. I wasn't nervous opening night.
No.
Or any of that, but it was incredible. And what I did on that stage was a result of what I had done on that classroom. Wow. I did stuff, and as I was doing it, I thought, Zura Mostel would do this. I went so far out, I was outrageous. Outrageous, and I thought, my God, what a scene stealer you are. I mean, I swear to you, I took my time. I heard music that I had never heard before. I did turns and walks. The audience went crazy.
How fun.
I had the courage. I gave myself permission because I had learned it in class. That's why I go to class.
That's so great. What a great story and what a great example for everybody.
I think every day you have to learn something.
Right.
Something wonderful, you know.
There's so much to experience, too. You know?
I have been made a cultural ambassador by the United States. I know that's hard to believe, but I act like I'm smart. But what I do and all I care about doing is talking to children, poor children. I don't want to go to any fancy schools. I refuse to do that. They sent me to Costa Rica. That was my first job. And I talked to 6 high school graduating classes and 1 drama school. And on Monday, 2 children from Costa Rica came to my home and sat with me for a couple of hours. We had cookies and soda and talked. And what the young man said to me when I was in Costa Rica, he brought me melons, but I couldn't bring it back because you're not allowed to bring fruit into the country. Right. But he said, you know, Miss Roberts, I wake up every morning and I read the newspapers, and I get so depressed because I live in a world that hates each other. They keep killing each other. But you came to our class yesterday and spoke to us, and you gave us hope. And I want to tell you, there's no paycheck better than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just wonderful. And I've talked to the State Department. I said, why aren't we doing this in America? Why aren't we going into other countries to do this? They said, well, because it's part of the State Department. They can't use any energy or money for our country. They have to go out into that. But I'm going to argue that point.
Is there an internal agency or something? That
No, but there should be.
Yeah, well, maybe we can start one.
And I might start it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need, anybody who's in this business and has any kind of celebrity needs to give back.
Absolutely.
They need to go into communities and talk to young kids about hope. If you give a kid hope, they won't turn to drugs and guns. Right. But if they're hopeless about life, why not? Why not? It's too tough otherwise. So.
Okay, all those in favor of Doris for president.
All right, yeah.
Heck with that John Kerry fella, you know.
I have a little granddaughter who's 15 years old, and she was taking a drama class this summer, and her mother wasn't too excited about that. But I didn't say a word.
Yeah.
I don't encourage her. I want her to make that choice.
Right.
I don't want her to make it think it's glamorous. I bring her on sets to see, so that she can see how hard it is.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
And when young kids say to me, help me, how do I get into the business? How do I become successful? I ask one question. Do you want to be an actor, or do you want to be a celebrity? Most of them want to be celebrities. I mean, they want their fancy cars, they want their great clothes, the good-looking guys, the good-looking girls. That sounds wonderful, but that's not an actor.
Right.
And so it's very special. But I spoke to her class yesterday, and it was wonderful. And what I talk about is not giving in, not giving up. That's hard, but we can't do that. If you give up, you're waiting for death. That's my philosophy. And that's the truth. You can applaud. I applaud that. My feeling is I never take no for an answer. I cannot tell you as a young actress, well, I'll give you an example. I went to NYU because I didn't have the guts to tell my mother I wanted to be an actress. So I thought, well, maybe I could be a press agent and work in the theater, you know, something like that. And then I kept sneaking in drama classes. And I had a teacher by the name of Mr. House. And Mr. House's wife was this British woman who was an alcoholic. It wasn't very pleasant, because the things she said to me were terrible. She'd say, if I was on the stage, "You don't belong on the stage, my dear. You're a little mousy thing and we can't hear you."
Well.
And she would just cut me down all the time. I finally couldn't take it, and I quit. And I went to the neighborhood playhouse, and I auditioned for Sandy Miser, and I got a scholarship. So for that lady, this is not a mousy thing. The hair is dyed. It used to be brown, but it's okay. God knows what it's like, really. But, all right. I also had an experience where a woman at J. Walter Thompson by the name of Claudia Walden, if anyone came from New York and remembers that name, called my agent one day and said, "I would like to book Doris for a commercial." And he said, "Oh, for Thursday." And my agent said, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's not available." And Claudia Walden said, "What do you mean she's not available?" And the agent said, "Well, she's working." And Claudia Walden was heard to say, "Doris Roberts is working?"
Oh, whoa. Yes, and not on your project.
Claudia, watch me. I've been working a long time.
Wow.
So I don't take no for an answer. I don't give in. I don't give up. I'm challenged every day. And you know, I know that this is our last year of Raymond. And like every actor, I think, I wonder if I'll ever work again. Yeah. We all have that. Those are fears that we have. Right. But that's not what we have to stop the little voices in the back of our heads that say, "Oh, well, I guess this is it. You know, it's over.
Right.
I can't get a job. I can't do this. I have to stop that. We really do. Now, we're in trouble because Madison Avenue dictates to our studios and networks what they want to see, who they want to see, and all that nonsense. I wrote a book last year called "Are You Hungry, Dear?" which is out in paperback. Why not? You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got an audience.
Absolutely. You should have brought the books with you.
But I couldn't get an interview in any magazine. I was too old, not interested. So I was on The View. I was co-hosting The View, and there was a young woman on it from Glamour magazine. Mm-hmm. And I called her, and her name was Rebecca. And I said, "Rebecca, how old are you, honey?" She said, 32. I said, "Oh, good, baby, because you got 8 years more." She said, "What?" I said, "According to your magazine, anyone over the age of 40 is not important. They have airbrushed us out of society." And they can't do that to us because what they don't know, and they're fools not to know this, because I know it, in less than 12 or 15 years, we will be the oldest society in the history of the world.
Right. Right.
We also are in control of 77% of the money in the world. So they have to pay attention to us. But in going back in time, I said to this child that you got eight, well, 32 is a child for me.
Yeah, well,
But, so you got 8 years, kiddo. And I said, let me tell you something. At that time, I was 72. I will be 74 in November.
Yeah, baby. And looking good.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and for the ladies, I have a bow.
Oh.
Oh, so you see, life goes on, honey. Don't ever give up.
Wow, I'm
Yeah,
loving
of course,
this.
of course.
I'm loving this.
So I said to this young lady from Glamour magazine, I said, I'm 72 years old. I've just won my 3rd Emmy. Oh, actually, it was my 4th, but I said 3rd. For
Raymond.
Everybody Loves
Yeah.
Raymond. I have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I've written a book that's on the New York Times bestseller list, and I've been made a cultural ambassador by the United States government at the age of 72. How about that? Is that a story? Can you write a little story about that lady?
Yeah.
So she did. So I did get into Glamour magazine. But I called the editor-in-chief and I said, you really want to make some money? Put me on the cover. And it's true. Women would have bought that magazine.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
Absolutely.
I'm not finished with them.
Round 2 is coming up.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But it's difficult because they're not writing for us.
Right.
Why they're not writing for us, I have no idea. Are we not judges and doctors and
well, because all the writers are
architects?
22, right?
I know.
So you go. Well,
they think that a man of 55 doesn't know what it was like to be 22. They're foolish, you know. They're really dumb. But what can you do? I'll tell you what we have to do. I think it has to become a political movement.
In what sense? How do we make it?
My son came up with, I think, a brilliant idea. And we went on I think I said this before, but it's worth repeating. We went on our own dime to AARP, and I'm furious with them. Furious with them. We have to do something about that. And we said, let's not boycott. That doesn't work. That's a negative thing. Why don't we, the 2nd Tuesday of next month, all members of AARP go out and buy a package of Wrigley Spearmint gum. 32 million packets will be bought in one day. Ho, they'll pick their ears up for that.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. Yeah, right.
And then the next month, 2nd Tuesday of the month, let's go out and buy a can of tomato soup. Give it to the poor. The point is we have power, and in the pocketbook, that's what counts. They don't understand that. Then I said, why don't we get together and have a panel of a wonderful director, a wonderful writer, a wonderful producer, a wonderful actor, and they go and see the movies that are going to come out, and they tell us what movie they think we'd enjoy, and we go opening day. We'd make it a blockbuster. You don't think Hollywood would pick up its ears and say, wait a minute, there's an audience here. What am I doing? Why aren't we not? So it is possible to organize and do things like that. Yes?
A friend of mine in the next few months, they are starting up a network for the senior market.
Say it again. Can you talk a little louder? 'Cause
In the next few months, a friend of mine, there's a network that is going on, and it's going to be strictly for the senior market.
yes? Oh, great.
Got it?
Yeah.
There is a network that is going to be starting up in the next few months. It will be specifically for the senior market. It'll start up, I think they're going to be broadcasting about, 2.5 to 3 hours a day. Actually, Michael Medved is signed on. He's going to do reviews for seniors. But actually, they're going to do the classic movies, and he's going to do like a review for whatever movie they're going to have on the next day. And it's going to be like a calendar every day of events and things that are going on for like travel events and so forth. And they're getting behind this, and there is a huge bankroll behind this. People have gotten together and funded it, and it's going to happen.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Good news.
But I do think that this idea of gathering together and showing our force, our power,
Yes.
our money power, will mean a hell of a lot to a lot of people.
And I like the idea of turning it around to the positive rather
Right.
than withholding
But
the,
no,
we're going to
absolutely.
show you how
Now,
much the purchase power means.
I went with my son to AARP and gave them this idea. And they all said, oh my God, that's wonderful. They've done nothing. When I went to the Senate and spoke to them about ageism, and I've got a big mouth and I'm very happy about it, to talk about it. Because what are they going to do to me? Take my SAG card away? No. I don't
We'll
think
get you a new one.
Oh,
We'll,
good.
don't you worry about it. We'll take care of
They
it.
didn't show up at the meeting. They did not show up at a meeting on ageism and how we're being mistreated and how the newspapers and media are calling us old coots, old farts, old over the hill. No.
Yeah, right.
There's nothing over the hill about me.
Right.
Well, maybe my breasts, but it's not that.
Now, when you hear something about a special channel just for seniors, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, that's kind of a good idea, but I don't like the idea of
Being
segregating
segregated.
out that
I couldn't agree with you
segment,
more.
you know?
I couldn't agree. See,
idea.
why should they stop us from fulfilling our lives as well as we can?
Right.
Why should they say, no, you can't do that anymore? Would you tell Picasso he can't paint anymore? Or Einstein, we don't want your theories, you're too old? Please. They're stupid. We're the only country in the world who doesn't honor its elders. We're wisdom. You know, I don't want a young person's job. I want my job. I want to represent women in this country who are alive and focused and contributing and in their 70s. I want to see that on film. I want to see that.
Why do you think it is? I mean, we're in a business that, likes to think of themselves as being enlightened and liberal and what have you, and yet we're probably one of the only businesses that has this kind of, institutionalized bigotry and, in a lot of areas. It's not just in ageism.
It's the last bastion of
you know.
bigotry in this country.
Yeah, that's right.
And we need to do something.
Youth. The whole thing is about youth. All about youth. Watch all the commercials. Young people.
But I got money in my pocket, honey, that the youth don't. It's my money that gives my son a house and a car and a thing that it's all like that. And that's what I've argued. When I went to Congress, or Senate rather, and I said, gentlemen, if you were in my business, you'd be out of a job. Well, their eyes just budged right out of their heads, And it's true. But we need to do something politically. I'm sure that that's the only way to go. Because it is the last bastion of bigotry. Nobody does anything about it. They try, but nobody does anything. And I think we are overpowering if we gathered together and really got something going. I really do.
Absolutely.
So we have to think about what we can do to cause that to happen in our country.
Right.
Right.
Well, we're behind you, so
Okay.
you take the lead, we'll follow.
Okay.
And you know what? We should think about doing a panel here at the Screen Actors Guild. I think that's a great place to start
Great.
this and bring
Absolutely.
in.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. We'll figure out a way to make that happen.
And let's march on Washington. I'll show my breast. No,
For a
this
good
is
cause.
This is true. Tyne Daly, who I adore, she was honored, and I was presenting her honor, and she said, if Janet Jackson has caused such a tumultuous thing, why don't we all march on Washington and show our right breast?
There you go.
They would know what to do.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of women. What a great idea. What power.
Well, it's like the women in England that did the calendar, right?
Right,
They did that calendar,
absolutely.
they made lots of money.
So
on
let's
it.
think about that. Okay. I'll start working.
Oh, goodness. Wow, where did we got off onto this tangent here.
I don't know.
All right, well, let's go back for just a second. We'll come back to this
Okay.
again, because I know we will. So you're living in New York. You're going to plays with your mom. When was it that it dawned on you that you really wanted to be up there on that stage?
5 years old, in
Even
kindergarten. I said, I am Patrick Potato. This is my cousin, Mrs. Tomato.
And
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That laughter.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, everybody's paying attention to me. Wow. And from that moment on.
That was it.
Now, I went on from there to when I was the age of 11. And I was a little mousy thing then.
Yeah, well.
But not later. And I sang a song, and I had a lisp at the time, and it went something like this. Snow is glistening in the rain. Rain is listening. Happy. I got the hook, the gong, the bell. They threw me off. They couldn't get rid of me fast enough. Now, anybody in the right mind would say, well, I guess this is not for me.
Right.
But not me.
Wouldn't take no for an answer,
No,
right? Yeah.
no, I don't. I don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where does
when-
that confidence come from? Or is it stubbornness? Or what is it that drives you? You know what
I have such passion for what I do.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it up. I don't want to be told that I can't do it. I did crazy things. For instance, I auditioned for Mike Nichols for Plaza Suite, and it's 3 one-act plays, so I underdressed. I would do the first act in the dress, and then I'd take that dress off, and I had another dress on underneath, and then I would do the next act, and I'd take that dress off. Well, Mike Nichols fell on the floor laughing. Who does that? It's insanity. I didn't get the part either. So. But then I auditioned for Fiddler on the Roof, because they told me, you don't have to sing, just sing Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
Well, when I got there, the singers were there with their accompanists,
Right.
the vocal teacher. I mean, it was unbelievable. And they said, what are you going to sing? And I got up and I said, I looked into the pit and I said, all of me. And the guy said, what? I said, all of me. So Foster came running down. He said, all of me. Why not take all of me? I said, yeah, that's it. So I started to sing, all of me. Why not take all of me? Can't you see? And he's going too fast, see? And I saw Betty Grable movies, so I started hitting the ground. Saying, you took the part. You took, and I went back to acting. It was a disaster, but it was an experience.
Absolutely. So how, was there a turning point? Was there a point where somebody actually paid attention and said, okay, let's give this kid a shot?
Because my mother mimeographed and typed the scripts.
You know, half this room doesn't know what a mimeograph is.
Oh,
no
well,
doubt.
that's,
You know,
this is a long time ago.
I know,
you
yeah.
So a lot of people would come into her office. One of them was Jean Dalrymple, who was a major producer on Broadway. And they were going to do The Time of Your Life. And I said, how do I get into it, you know? She said, well, it's up to Sandy Meisner, who was then directing it. And I auditioned for Sandy. He said, of course, you'd be perfect. I had 3 lines. I played a little hooker. And I couldn't get a contract, and I couldn't get Jean Dalrymple on the phone, and I knew it was going into rehearsal in another week, and I was hysterical, and I went to her house and rang the bell, and her sister said, who is it? And I said, it's Doris Roberts. Is Jean home? She said, no. I said, well, I need to talk to her. Well, she's not home, and then wouldn't let me in. So I stood there, and it's a townhouse in New York, and it had no cover, so with every drop of rain that hit my head, I said, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this job. So now I know I've got to call home because I'm late.
Yeah.
And I go to the drugstore on the corner and I call and I say, I'm going to be late because I'm waiting for Jean Dalrymple. Then I ran back and I thought, probably, you know, knowing me, she came when I was gone. And she did. So I went back and I called her on the phone. I said, oh, Miss Dalrymple, it's Doris Roberts. I want 3 minutes of your time. And I hung up. And I ran to the house and I rang the bell and she let me in. And I said, you know, I've been trying to get, and I started talking. And I said, I'm trying to get you to give me the contract because Mr. Meisner said I could do it and I just want to, there's only 3 lines and I want to do it so badly. It would be my first Broadway play and I would want it. She said, you got it. And I never heard her say that. I never heard her say, you got it.
And
I was talking so much and trying to impress her. So I never heard her say, she said, you've got it. I said, what? She said, you've got it.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, you know. Anyway, she said, the reason you got it is because you're so persistent. All right, now I've got it.
there you go.
And and this cast was incredible, just incredible. It was Fran Chittone, Myron McCormick, John Carradine, Harold Lang, Gloria Vanderbilt, Carol Marcus, Grace Soroy, and Soroy Mathau. I could never say her name unless I say all of her names. Anyway, Gloria Vanderbilt, and I'm going to be a bitch about this, but it's the truth, was terrible. Really? And her performance went something like this. there are tigers in the jungle who know their love. I thought, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And my line after she left the stage was so incredible. It said, "It's floozies like her that raise hell with our racket." The audience stomped their feet, whistled, screamed, hollered.
Oh, my
it was
goodness.
incredible. That night at the opening night party, Mr. Saroyan came to me and said, "Honey, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to cut that line." I grabbed him by his lapels. And I said, "Do you know what it took for me to get those 3 lines? Please, don't cut them." So he didn't.
Oh.
That was my
great.
beginning, which is hysterical. That was 1955. And I went back this year to City Center again to do Bye Bye Birdie. So I went back to where I started. It was hysterical. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's
the
a
other
great
thing we
story.
did, which was great, we were very quiet putting our makeup on, because beneath us was Gloria Vanderbilt and her friend Carol Marcus, Grace Saroyan, Mathau, talking about who they had gone out with the night before. And it was Sinatra and people like that. And none of us spoke. We just put,
Oh, my goodness.
we heard everything.
You had your own page 6 going on there. That was,
It was great.
yeah. Oh,
It was
that's-
great.
So,
So that was my beginning.
Yeah.
What?
Share it.
Oh, well, don't. Do I have to tell you what you did with Sinatra? Everybody figured that out. But that was my beginning.
that's wonderful.
It was
What did that lead to then? What did you get other
That
roles on
led
Broadway?
to, no, I was, oh, this is wonderful. I had a summer stock thing up in Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, well, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know it, but I was in a den of dykes. And I was a very young woman.
Yeah.
And I had auditioned for these parts.
Yeah.
And the woman who produced it didn't give me those roles. She gave them to her girlfriend. And I had a big fight with her, and she fired me.
Uh-huh.
And I went down into town to the local coffee shop where all the actors were. And the phone rang. And it was for me. It was Robert Fryer saying, "We want you to come in and understudy Shirley Booth in desk set."
Oh.
If I hadn't been fired, I wouldn't have gotten that job. Isn't that wild?
Sometimes
So-
things work out,
Oh.
don't they? Yeah.
It was fabulous.
So what was it like for you to be able to watch
Shirley
Booth on
Oh, she was
stage? And what
extraordinary.
did you learn? How did
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I learned her concentration.
Yeah.
I learned her freedom. I learned that she gave herself permission. And she was in the character. She wasn't interested in out there. She was in the character. Every night she'd get on that stage and laugh. And I thought, oh, how do you do that? How do you just laugh like that?
Yeah.
You know? And she was great. Just great.
Did you get the chance to go on? Did you?
Are you kidding? Of course not.
But you can dream, can't you? Yeah, yeah,
But it was great. It was wonderful.
yeah. When did you get your first television role or?
Well,
did
this
that
is
come
interesting.
shortly after?
Yeah. No, I would get a call. I got a call to come out and do the Mary Tyler Moore Comedy Hour. No, the Mary Tyler Moore Show. That's the first one. And I came out, and Cloris Leachman was on it, and she's brilliant, but she's a little wacky. So it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
It drove me because I was a woman who was the head of my company, and I was able to give you a job.
Yeah.
And she came in to get a job, and she started moving everything on my desk, and I was just thrown by that. I'd never worked with an actor who did that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd go home to the Sunset Marquee and cry every night. And then on Friday morning, I go, and Jay Sandwich, who was my director, said, "Honey, I don't know how to help you. She's just crazy like this, does it all week. And then on Friday, she's brilliant." I thought, thanks a lot, you know. But on Friday morning, I woke up and I thought, wait a minute. They flew me out here first class.
Yeah.
They put me up in this Sunset Marquee. They must think I'm worth something.
Right.
So I went to work, and the minute she touched something, I said, "Don't touch that." And then I said something like, don't bust my chops. Well, they went crazy and they kept it in.
Oh, that's
And it was the
great.
biggest laugh of the night. So
That's
that was
great.
kind of great fun.
That's
But
great.
what brought me out here really was Lily Tomlin. I did a play on Broadway called Bad Habits by Terrence McNally, and I won the Outer Critics Circle Award, and it was a big push for me in my career. And Lily saw me, and she brought me out to do the Lily Tomlin Comedy Hour, which we did. We won all these Emmys, and they didn't pick us up. They picked up Howard Cosell instead. Now, does that make any sense?
No.
What is there any sense in our business? No, I'm not going to worry about that. But that's who brought me out.
That's great. Well, you did some of the earlier television stuff as well, right?
Oh,
Didn't you?
yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Didn't you do a Studio One? Did
Oh,
I see
yeah.
that?
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
That was great. And the one that I loved to work with most was Kim Stanley. You remember Kim Stanley at all? No.
Yes.
She would have been and should have been the great actress of our century.
Yeah.
But she went to booze instead,
Right.
and that's sad. She was brilliant, brilliant. She just was magical, luminous. They use that in critique, but she was luminous. It was great. I adored working with her.
What was the experience like doing live television? I mean, when you're,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh my God. I was on one where there was a fire, and Paul Ford was the fire chief. And we had a prop guy who, instead of putting a few drops of smoke, emptied the bottle out. And in every scene, scenes that had nothing to do with fire, the actors are going, oh my God, what happened? I don't know. Oh my God, oh my God, oh.
And there's nothing you can do, right? Because you're.
They asked Paul Ford, who's in the scene, he's supposed to tell you how much damage was caused by this fire.
Yeah.
And Darren McGarren said, what happened? He said, I don't know. I don't know. He said, well, was there any damage? He said, well, I'm coughing. It was absolute disaster. I was on the Studio One
Yeah.
where I was supposed to drop a flame on something and start a fire. Well, that didn't happen. And the next thing you know is someone came out with a lantern and put the lantern on the floor and started a fire. And you thought, what happened here? Yeah. But it was all live. And boy, you had to run from one end of the room to the other end of the room and get there in time and not look like you're out of breath, Right. Oh, it was wild. It was frightening.
I'll bet.
To make a mistake with millions of people watching you was really frightening.
Yeah.
Really.
And how much pressure was there on the actors? I mean, if you
lot.
made a mistake, did that mean you'd get fired? Or
Well, it's too late, like the guy with,
Well, that's
we
true.
thought,
Yeah,
but
good
it was exciting. It really was exciting. It was like, well, with Everybody Loves Raymond, I love doing that because we do it in front of an audience.
Yep.
And it's like doing a one-act play every week.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
I would hate to do it without an audience,
Yeah.
And it's alive, and you don't want to make a mistake with them,
Right.
If you've come from theater, you don't want to make a mistake, period.
Right.
But because
But they happen, and you have to
you
live
deal
with
with
it,
young
right?
kids who are in the business. They love making mistakes because they do it again and again and again. Fun.
Now, you were part of the Actors Studio for
Yeah.
a time.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that time and who your contemporaries
Oh
were
my
in that
God!
class?
Oh, they were
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
It was Kim Stanley, Maureen Stapleton, Marty Balsam, Geraldine Page, God bless her, all of them, and Marilyn Monroe. She'd come in terrified, just terrified, with a big collar in the wintertime and keep it up, and she had on dark glasses, and then she'd have a scarf over her head and just be so introverted and so frightened of what was going on in the class. It was shocking. And then there'd be Rod Steiger, who I think he thought he was king, I'm not sure. Bless you wherever you are, Rod.
Yeah.
But it was, I remember we'd go into a coffee shop afterwards, and he'd sit there in a booth. And if anybody wanted to sit with him, they'd have to ask him. And I
is that
thought,
right?
that's great. I'm going to try that one day. So next week, I went in and I got a booth. And I had a script and reading it, waiting for someone to come and sit with me, and nobody came. I finally looked up and I said, would you like to sit down? It didn't work for me. It worked for him. But they were great. I mean, and the writers. You had Edward Albee, you had Terrence McNally, and you had great writers and directors there.
What was it about that time where people came together and formed an artistic community? You just don't see that happening with much frequency now. I mean, there's some examples
I think it's easier for it to happen in New York because there isn't that much work, and theater is a major part of an actor's life in New York. Even when Kazan left us and went to Lincoln Center, we all said, and I'm talking about everyone, including Shelley Winters, said, we give you 6 months of our lives every year to do a play.
Wow.
You know. Wow. But Lee was not able to deal with that, I'm afraid. It's too bad.
Right? Yeah.
Because we would have had a national theater,
Right.
when you think about it, and we should have. Because we had great talent in there.
Amazing.
Carl Malden,
Right.
Jimmy Dean. I used to sit next to Jimmy Dean. See, this is why I'm not an agent. I sat next to Jimmy Dean for a long time, and I think, this kid's never going to get anywhere. He's so angry.
Yeah,
He won't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of worked for him, though, didn't it?
Yeah. But it was.
Did you have a sense of how special it was at that time,
Yeah,
or was it just
yeah,
you guys working?
yeah,
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 you knew.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. It was really great. It was a great experience, and then you have to leave, you know, and
Move
grow
on.
up.
Right.
I did Marathon 33, and we did it for almost a year. We rehearsed it at night during the week, and then we finally did it, you know, and it was extraordinary. It was really wonderful. But the sad part was that Jerry Robbins asked to direct it, and June Havoc said no.
Oh.
Big mistake.
Yeah, well.
Big mistake, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was something else.
Do you remember the job that earned you your Screen Actors Guild card, by any chance? Do you remember what that job was?
It was a movie I did with Carol Baker. Had a strange name to it. I don't know that anyone saw it. I did, but that's about it. That got me my first card,
You've moved fairly effortlessly between all the mediums, it seems.
Yeah.
Are you as comfortable in each of the mediums?
I
Do you
like
have
theater because it's you. They can't cut you. They
Right.
can't edit you. They can't use the back of your head.
Right.
It's not a shot over your shoulder. You know, it's your speech, but they're on the money. No, none of that. So I love theater for that reason.
Right.
And I've had great experiences.
Yeah. So now, just so we get the chronology right, so you've done some Broadway work, you've done some films and some television in New York, and did you take any kind of first trips out here before that Mary Tyler Moore show?
Yes,
or did
no. Mary
that
Tyler
was
Moore
pretty
was
much
the
the
first,
first time
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So once you got out here, what did you think of the
Well,
left coast?
I'll give you an experience. I had an appointment with Hitchcock's for something, and it was late afternoon, just getting dusk, and I couldn't find the little brass plaque on the little cottage that he was in, and I saw out of the corner of my eye someone coming towards me, and I said, "Excuse me, but could you go?" Oh my God! Go! Oh my God! I can't. Could you? Oh my! It was Cary Grant.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness.
Could not
Wow.
speak.
Wow.
Just giggled.
What year was this? That was,
Gosh. About 70, 75,
Yeah.
76.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, then I'll tell you, the next day I was in the commissary with Alan Pakula and his right-hand lady, Isabel Halliburton, and the three of us were sitting having lunch, and it was filled with movie stars. And all of a sudden, to the table came Cary Grant. Oh, my God. And he said, "Hello, Alan." And Alan Pakula said, "Oh, hi." He said, "I'd like you to meet Isabel Halliburton, my assistant, and this is a wonderful actress from New York, Doris Roberts." He said, "Yes, we met yesterday." Now it gets worse. He leaves, And Isabel and I are going, oh my God, I mean, that's a star. I mean, my God, is that something? Oh my God. And Alan Pakula is getting really annoyed with us because we're making a lot of noise at the commissary and people are watching. And he started yelling at us. Well, he had tea and the straw was up his nose. I said, I don't think I'd say anything if I were you. You have a straw up your nose. But Cary Grant, oh my God.
Oh, man.
I also have had the great, great experience of becoming a dear friend of Lord Olivier and his wife, Joan. I did The Diary of Anne Frank with Joan Plowright and some wonderful other actors, Clive Revel and my friend Jimmy Coco and Maximilian Schell, and it was just great, and Melissa Gilbert. And then, so Joan and I became friends, and I got a call from Lord Olivier, and this is what it went like. I won't do the accent because I can't even do it. He said, this call is for Doris Roberts. This is Larry Olivier of London. What, Queens, New York?
Exactly, yeah, right, yeah.
So he said, I'm coming to your country Thursday next and would like to take you to dinner on Sunday. If that's all right with you, would you leave that on Dickie, that's their son's number. His number is 654, oh shit, and he hangs up. I have saved that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I saved that one. And there's another one I saved. Carmen McRae called me, and I didn't know Carmen McRae, and she said, girl, I've been watching your ass on television, and you knock me out. I saved that one.
That's a good
But,
one.
oh, so I went to dinner with Olivier. It was so great. It really was just great. Because
Were you tongue-tied? And,
absolutely.
You know, yeah.
Finally, and I just held his wrist, and I said, listen, I'm going to make a fool of myself. But as the evening wears on, it's going to get better, so relax. Then I went to visit him and Joan in their country house in England. And the chauffeur opened this Rolls Royce, and out I came. And the place is very overrun, because he doesn't want people to know that this is the entrance to his home. But then he took me about, and he started to quote from Shakespeare, and then he would point to a bush, and it was all the Shakespearean garden. And he'd go, ta-da-da-ta-ta-da-ta-da-da-ta-ta. And he'd look at the, point to the bush, and I'd look at the bush, and I went, oh, isn't that charming? Then he'd go, ta-ta-da-ta-ta-da-ta-ta-da-ta-ta. And I said, Larry, you're barking up the wrong tree. I don't have a clue.
I don't know what you're up to.
But he loved me because I was that free with him. I wasn't the great man.
Yeah.
Well, it was great. It was wonderful.
You've worked on so many of probably all of our favorite television shows and what have you. Did you have a favorite experience? I mean, besides Everybody Loves Raymond, Remington Steele.
I had a great time on
earlier,
Remington Steele. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And here's a great example of not giving in or giving up.
Yeah.
I, for 4 months, was not able to walk because I had a herniated disc hitting a sciatica nerve. And I heard about this part on Remington Steele, and I thought, that sounds something like I would be good at.
Yeah.
So I called Jerry Windsor, and I said, Jerry, I'd like to read for this part. And she said, okay, I'll call you back. And she went to Michael Gleason, who's a friend of mine, and said, Doris Roberts would like to read for the part. And Michael Gleason tells the story, and he said, no, she's too old. And Jerry was embarrassed. She said, well, she's asked to read for it, so I'm embarrassed to say, no, you can't read for it.
Right.
And she said, let her come in. I came in with a steel brace on and a muumuu dress, so you couldn't see the brace. And I knocked their socks off. And I got it. Now, I go to the doctor, that funny little doctor we all have to go to, Michelson or something like that, and I've got this brace on from my shoulders to my hip, a big steel brace. And I thought, when he goes with the stethoscope, he'll feel the brace, and I won't get this job. So he came towards me with the stethoscope, and I pulled back, and I went, ooh. And he said, oh, Miss Roberts, I never go anyplace I'm not supposed to go. And I did the best acting job I've ever done in my life. I said, oh, no, but I'm so shy. He bought it, and he didn't examine me.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you little devil, you.
It was a great job. Shy? Oh, please.
Yeah. That's acting.
Yeah. So see, I don't give up.
Yeah.
I don't give in. I don't take no for an answer.
What a loss that would have been if they hadn't
Of
said
course,
yes.
of course.
Yeah.
And I love the first thing that Pierce had to do was I fainted, and he went to pick me up. He went down with me. I said, keep it in. He was very frail at the time.
Yeah.
He's not so frail anymore. He's got some muscle in him now. Handsome son of a gun.
Do you have a worst casting story? You know, something that happened where you just went in and, you know, the audition was horrible, or the way you were treated was horrible, or some... Just makes us feel better, you know?
No, but of course,
Yeah.
you know, foolish things. But, you know, I talk about attitude. Mm-hmm. It's a major thing with us.
Yeah.
We have attitude, and it's not good for us. It really is not. I was directing a play, and an older man came in to play a priest, and he read very well. And I wanted him, but he had the wrong tack. I said, he's not angry with this woman. He wants to help her. He's irritated with her, but not really angry. So take it outside and look at it again, and whenever you're ready, come in, and I'll read other parts, not your part. He looked at me, he said, this is as good as it's going to get.
Oh, well. Wow.
Why would I hire him?
Right.
I was ready to hire him. He was so right.
Yeah.
But he stopped. So attitude, you know. Yeah. I think the most important thing we can learn, or I've learned, is before I put my hand on the knob of the door to go into audition for someone, I say to myself, they do not validate me. I validate myself. I'm coming in here to give you the best I got. I hope you like it. Yeah. They're not going to validate you. They're going to give you a job. Right. Now, who knows what's going on in their heads, you know? Right. Really.
That's a great attitude to walk in with, though. Yeah. Yeah. Did you? I mean, do you have times where the fears and that other voice are trying to take over, and you still had to go?
Well,
in the
I'm going to
room,
share something with you that I didn't think I was going to share.
This is my favorite part of these interviews.
Jennifer's going to upset. There's a new magazine out called Television World. I don't know how I got it. Somebody ordered it for me, and I've got it. Right. And I opened it the other day, 3 days ago. And the last page is a page by Tom Shale, the critic, who said the worst things about me I've ever read in my life.
Oh, my goodness.
Ever read in my life. Now, he doesn't have to like me. He doesn't have to want me to win another Emmy. All of that's fine. But he went after me with such vicious adverbs and adjectives that I have no idea why. It killed me. With all I am doing and all I have done, my ego went into the toilet. Oh. I mean, he said things like, that combat veteran. What combat are we talking about? Right. And how do we shut her up or shut her down?
Oh, my goodness.
And, oh, my God, is she going to get another Emmy? If she does, I'm turning off the TV set and going to bed. And then went on and said that big mouth, went on and on, things like that. And I thought, what is the matter with someone who would write things like that about me? He doesn't have to like me. He doesn't have to want me to win an Emmy. He could say all of those things, whatever. But to attack me personally like that, I don't understand that. And we get attacked by our critics. And I really think that's so wrong. I don't know how you stop it, but it just took the wind out of my heart. What?
Get good critics, he says. I think that's an oxymoron, but I'm not sure.
Well, you know, a couple of years back, he gave me a great review, but I don't know what I've done or what I represent that causes it. He did say, you know, some of us don't like our mother-in-laws, and for good reason. I thought, oh, you're telling me a little too much now.
Right.
But why attack me on a personal level? He can say, enough already, she doesn't need another Emmy. That's fine. See, I want to win the Emmy because I think it's a statement against ageism.
Yeah.
That I can win it with, that's, I don't need another statue, but it is a
Yeah.
great statement against ageism. And I'm up against all those young, beautiful, sexy women. So I hope I win for that reason alone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know. But, but isn't that odd that a critic
Do you think
would go
that maybe they
far?
do that just to stir up controversy and
I
to
don't
see
know.
if
I have
they
no
get,
idea.
What magazine was it in? Is this some?
It's called Television World.
Is this something that we as individuals can say, what are you doing with the
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I want to give him that,
that
Yeah,
recognition?
don't give them the power.
let it go. But it just,
Yeah.
it's
It just,
we're,
what
we're
the point
frail,
is, yeah,
what
it
I'm
still
saying.
hurts, and it's
I'm
still.
saying we're
yeah.
frail as
Yeah.
as actors. We're frail. When we hear a negative thing about us, all the self-esteem that you had goes,
Yeah.
what?
Right.
And you think
Right.
we're back to zero, and it's wrong that we allow that to happen because that's, I have a body of work that I'm very proud of,
Right.
and it's too bad that he doesn't like me or whatever. But other
Yeah.
people love me, so the hell with them.
There you go. There you go. Okay, we have a question back there. Go ahead.
Hi, Doris, my name's Dave. I think it's just, don't take it personally at all because unfortunately now in our society, I think it's like with the American Idol thing with Simon Cowell or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
evil bitchiness sells and some people think it's clever. And it's just
possibility, yeah.
hurtful and it's made for, sensationalism
Right.
and for people to, talk about something, oh, did you read that in the paper or whatever. So it's just evil bitchiness that you just have to
That's
let
probably
roll
very
off your
true.
back.
Thank you.
And
There you
it's unfortunate, but it sells and some people think it's clever.
There you go. Okay. I wonder if we could talk about Everybody Loves Raymond and how that came to be. And did you have to read for that role? How did the whole casting process go down?
Over
What's that?
100 women read for that role.
Wow.
All of my friends in New York and most of my friends in Los Angeles read for that part.
And now you had extensive credits by that point, and still you had to go in and read.
I had to read, and at that time I was directing a play that had 23 people in it and music. So I was in way over my head.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I can't go up. And they said, yes, Monday, 3:30 CBS. I said, no, I can't. They said, we talked to your producer. You're off Monday. And I just went in and it was mine. My name was on that one.
Isn't that something?
Absolutely.
Do you think sometimes it's because we're so, when you're distracted like that, does that
It
sometimes
may have
allow
helped.
you to
It may have helped. I just
free up?
just
Yeah.
blew it out.
And did they know it after the first
They
read?
sure did.
Yeah. Did you have to go back and read again?
No.
Did you go to network?
No.
Nope.
No.
They just signed you on.
No.
Yeah. When you first showed up on the first table read, what was that like? And
Oh, it
what were
was
your first
great.
impressions?
Well, I loved everybody there. I thought they were so right for the part. I loved working with Peter Boyle. I had never worked with him before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's just wonderful. He's an extremely intelligent man, wildly well-read. And the part that he plays
So far from
is so far from
Yeah.
who he is. He's great. And I love everybody. They're just, I tell you what's great about that show, aside from the writing, which is fabulous.
Terrific.
The writing is the best ever.
Yeah.
Is we not only like each other, and we do really genuinely like each other, we trust each other. We don't think anyone
That's
is trying to upstage you or take a moment or any of that. And that's very special, to feel that comfortable with everyone,
And it sure shows in the program because it's
absolutely.
such an ensemble. and
Absolutely,
it,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, on Remington, and I love them both individually, but they didn't talk to each other
Oh boy.
at all. Not even good morning.
Ah.
Oh, it was terrible. It really was.
That seems so odd,
No, it's
I
about.
know it's common, but
It's about ego. It's about
Yeah.
fan mail. It's
Yeah.
about the letters that you receive from people telling you that you're the best thing in the show and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
it's a collaborative thing on every level, and when it works that way, it's the best.
Yeah. Well, it's such a good show, and
Yeah.
I love the character of Marie. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you here is, there's such a distinct set of kind of opposites with her, And one second you see her as being this wonderfully caring, mother and maternal kind of quality, and then the next you just go, would you get get
Get
the
her
heck out
out.
of here?
My
And
son
was
is
that
so
conscious?
happy.
Yeah, is that
My
right?
son is so happy I'm doing this. He said, you get rid of all of that stuff with Raymond. And you leave me alone.
So you don't have to play it out here, huh? Yeah. Was that a conscious choice on your part to kind of play the opposites of things? Or
No,
do you look for that?
I tell you what, I love the writing. But more than that, my contribution to it is I play it so that you can laugh at me. If you didn't laugh at me, oh my God, she's a horror. But I have really known women like that who were told at a very early age, get married, have babies, take care of the babies and your husband and your family, and that's your job.
Right.
Well, the minute the baby starts to toddle,
Yeah.
they're saying, ta-ta, mommy.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We never read that in books.
Right.
And when they leave the nest, these women feel gone. They have no purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're obsolete. What is their purpose now?
Yeah.
To be a short order cook for their husband, if their husband's around,
Right. Right.
And they get you back with food. Don't we all go home for holidays?
Yes, we do.
We want the food.
Yeah.
But then when mamas get you at the dining room table,
Yeah.
they get right in your face and tell you what to do with your life. But everything I do on that show, as horrendous as it may seem, as a control freak that she is, stems from love. I want the house to be cleaner. I want her to be a better cook. I want those kids to have better vegetables and really tasty food. I want my sons to be well taken care of and all. So it really comes from love. Now, the end result is she's a killer. But it does come
But you
from
don't see
love.
it coming,
So, no,
you know,
and so you
yeah.
can laugh at her.
Right.
Now, I just did a cruise, and it was incredible. I went to Stockholm, Helsinki, St. Petersburg, Estonia, Berlin, Oslo, and London.
Oh, my goodness.
And in every country I went to, except Russia, because it's not playing there, they would yell, Marie! Oh, my God, it's Marie! And they say, I love you. Oh, you make us laugh so much. My husband and I, we watch you at night. We don't watch the news. We just watch you. So it was very rewarding. We're in 140 countries in the world. And it
man.
applies, yeah.
Isn't that great?
And it's everybody's family. It doesn't make any difference where they come from. They can all identify. But my contribution is to make you laugh at me and say, oh, my God, what does she do now? But you don't hate her. Because
Well, you create something so unexpected.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
experience of
yeah.
it. I just don't
Yeah.
expect what
You
comes
never
out
know
of her
what's
mouth.
gonna happen,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. This you said this is the last season. Is there a different mood on the set because of that?
We haven't been there yet. We go back on the
Okay.
23rd. Oh, I'm sure there will be. I don't want it to end. I don't think Patty does. I don't think Brad does.
Right.
Peter doesn't,
Yeah.
But Phil Rosenthal, the executive producer, and Ray, decided that this is it.
Yeah. And what season is this? This is the
This will be our ninth.
ninth season.
I think we could
Unbelievable,
easily
isn't
go
it?
to 10.
I think so too.
But,
I think
easily, but-
Yeah. There's something to be said though, going out at the top of the game.
No.
No. Yeah, the hell with that. That leaves me unemployed. No. That's not
Let
a
it
good thing.
wane a little bit.
Yeah. Don't let them get the hook, but yeah.
It's too good. I thought the writing last year was some of the
was
best writing
terrific.
they ever had.
It was really great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Fun.
I think there's a couple of questions in here that I'll try to get
Okay.
to quickly.
Is it about my sex life? Because I'm not going to tell it.
There were several of those.
I might, though, if you entice me.
Somebody was asking if you're going to direct this season. Are you going to direct on?
No, I don't want to direct because it's the wrong vibes.
Yeah.
As a director, you're telling actors how they should do something or where they should do it, and then you're going back to be a fellow actor. It's
Right.
better you stay away from that.
Yeah.
I do have a DGA card.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have directed television on Angie.
Yeah.
And I have
enjoy it?
directed very much, very
Yeah.
much.
So
I'm
do you-
tough. I directed this play, and this young boy came on stage, and I said, "Honey, where did you come from?" He said, "Stage left." I said, "And you know how boring you were? You don't ever come from stage left.
Right.
What's your life? What did you bring on stage? what happened last night? And
Yeah.
I went through the whole list of things.
right.
But and then there are the actors who wait for their line and they're very alive and say their line, then they die.
Right.
And then you wait for them to come alive again.
That's blah, 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 my line.
So I won't
yeah.
allow that. I'm very strong about that.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I'll tell them something, I can't do it. I said, yes, you can. And I do something that I would hate if a director did that to me. I get up and do it.
Oh.
I said,
line
you
reading.
can do it.
Yeah, right.
No, not line readings, intentions, attitudes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot to learn,
Yeah.
constantly a lot to learn.
Well, and that's kind of where we started, was that you continue to learn no
and
matter
I love
what.
that I learn
Yeah.
something all the time.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm always bowled over by people's talent and
Yeah.
excitement and imagination. And, oh my God, it's wonderful.
What makes a good director?
Well, here's an example. Jerry Robbins is a very difficult man, was. And I did a play with him. And he can be really tough and frightening. So that part of him I didn't like. But what I loved is he set up a stage that had your desk, your chair, what you would be working with when you did it. Everything on the desk was there, my name. The pencil had my name on it. Everything I could use as a secretary was there for me to play with and find things to do. And he gave you and gave this ambiance of work that was so exciting. He created the atmosphere and then let you go free in it. And that was great. I don't like directors who, the minute you get up and say, okay, walk over there and open the door and whoa, wait a minute.
Why, how, where?
Maybe I'll come up with something better than that, you know.
Right,
Or it will be organic rather than having me walk over there. I don't like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know.
That says it. I think
I
a director that
think-
can create a
I think you have to create for actors
space where they
a
can-
safe place
Yeah.
and allow them to be free within the confines of the characters
Yeah.
and see where they go.
Yeah.
It may be wonderful.
Yeah. I bet you're a great director. I
Well,
would think it would be.
I think
you'd
I'm a
fun
pretty
to work
good
with.
one.
Somebody just handed me this that I just think we ought to bring out here. This is a casting notice. I think it's out of Backstage, and it says it's called Second Glance, and there is no pay, but with the breakdown, the first listing is Stella, 60 plus, Doris Roberts lookalike. Good storyteller.
Anybody here?
Yeah.
You know the 5 stages of an actor? I'm going to really depress you now. The first one, who's Doris Roberts?
Yeah.
Second one, get me Doris Roberts. Third one, get me a young Doris Roberts. Fourth one, get me an old Doris Roberts. Fifth one, who's Doris Roberts? I went up for a job 2 years ago. A fairly well-known producer. And he said, oh, are you out here now?
What do
He
you
said,
say
"Yeah."
when somebody asks that? I mean, come on.
You laugh.
Yeah.
And then he said, what have you done? And I took a beat because I have good comedy sense.
Yeah.
I said, about what? I didn't get the job, but it was worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It really was worth
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Come on, do your homework.
About what? That's
About
great.
what?
I'm going to remember
About
that
what?
one. That's good.
Oh, what's the great story about Shelley Winters?
Yeah.
Someone wanted to know what she'd done. She
Yeah.
brought in her
Whipped out her Oscar.
Oscars and
Yeah.
picked them up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've
It's
gotten
tough.
these, so. Yeah.
You're dealing with a lot of young people who were not alive when I did theater in New York.
Right.
I did 21 years on Broadway before I ever came out here.
Right.
Nobody even, here's a great example. Well, I did St. Elt's where I played a bag lady many years ago.
Yeah.
And I tried to get up to read for it, and they said, no, we want someone from theater. Where were you when I was on Broadway?
Right.
What does that mean? I got the part, though.
Yeah. Got an Emmy for that, too, didn't you?
I sure did.
Yeah, sure did.
With my sweet friend Jimmy Coco. We were so great together. I miss him a lot.
That was a good show.
yeah.
That was a good show, and that was a
Yeah.
wonderful role for you. Let's see here. We're going to go to some member questions here,
Okay.
and then we'll open it up. Joe Durenberger wants to know, any comment on the rumored spin-off featuring Brad, Monica, yourself, Peter, Fred, Georgia?
No one's heard a word.
Not a word.
There's a lot of rumor, but no
Yeah.
one's heard a word.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to perpetuate that rumor if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Go
good.
after
All
it.
right. Let's see. Okay. Margie Soderberg asks, do you think a woman can begin, I should say resume, a career in the entertainment industry at the age of 50?
Age of 50? Lucky you, 50. Huh? Yes, of course
It's
you
all
can.
relative.
Yes, it is.
What kind of approach do you recommend? She asks.
Approach?
Yeah. You have any thoughts? How, what would you do to kind of kickstart things again? She's been away from it for a while. So what's she going to do?
I'd get into a little theater group and work and keep your instrument alive. And if there are any, webs, because you have been using it for a while, get them all out. Really work and get people to come and see you.
Yeah.
Work.
Did you ever do a one-person show?
No.
Yeah.
People have asked me to.
I'll bet.
I did a two-person show. That was bad enough. Because the other person wasn't there to help in any way.
Oh. All right, that's not good. That's not good.
How do you deal with the situation like that?
How do you deal with them?
Yeah, if you have a partner, a scene partner that
You get a little small doll and put pins in it. I just did a movie with an actor, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, it's not important, but he's a very selfish actor and ad-libs a lot. I mean, if his line, I don't think he's ever said what's just on the page. And it said, that won't work. Let's say that's his speech. That won't work. He'll say, that won't work, and it's not Starbucks, and I don't think you can have a frappe, and there's no such thing as a cappuccino, and you think, what the hell is he
Where are we?
talking
Yeah,
about?
right,
And you just wait for his mouth to stop, because you have the next line. But the look on my face is, who are you? Which has nothing to do with the part I'm playing. Right. But you think, hello, what is it? But we have them like that.
And you can't really ignore the reality of what's happening there, right? So you have to...
And you go to the director and say, what do we do here?
Right.
He said, well, I get 2 cameras going so I can get rid of him on one.
And you say, right, boss? Okay. All right. Mitch Kaiser asked a question, and this sounds, like too basic to ask, but I think we ought to ask it. To become a famous actor or simply an actor, is it a matter of luck or hard work?
Hard work. Absolutely hard work.
Right.
Now, I have never waited for an agent to call me about a job. I ferret out everything I can. What's going on? Have you heard about anything? Is this, and then, do I know that director? Well, maybe I could call him. Maybe I can send him a note. Maybe I could go to, what. I just don't sit back and wait for someone to ring my doorbell or my phone. I am constantly trying to find that job, the next job, the next.
Still? You still do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just found a script that I loved, and I just pitched it to Chris Albrecht. I get to see Chris Albrecht because they're part owners of Everybody Loves Raymond. Right. But I am fearless about that. You've got to know N-O by doing nothing.
Right.
Don't flinch. Pick up the phone and call.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You're going to get a no, then you'll get a no. But you might get a yes, or a maybe, or something. And that's how I live. That's going to be on my tombstone when I die in 40 years from now.
Yeah. That and she wouldn't take no for an
That's
answer.
right.
Yeah.
Do about what? Should be I think we're too complacent, and we think that the agents will do it all. Well, they can,
Right.
And especially for older people because there are so few parts written,
Right. Right.
But find out.
So just keep working it,
And
talk
and
to
find,
everybody,
and
look
and
for the
to
connections.
keep your motor alive, get together with friends and read plays out loud.
Yeah.
Try to get your
Yeah.
church or your synagogue, or your ashram, whatever, to put on a show.
Right.
And be in it.
Right.
Do something positive. Put it into action, because only action counts. I mean, I had a job in Spain. And then I got this job to play opposite Cesar Romero, which was so exciting. But I couldn't do it because I had a job in Spain, and it was a conflict. And I said, well, wait a minute. What can I do? My agent said, you can't do anything. You have to go to Spain. And I said, no. And I didn't listen to him anyway. I called the producer of this other film with Cesar Romero. And I said, tell me what you need. She said, I need 1 week of rehearsal. Then you can be off for 3 weeks or a month, and then we start again. I said, great. Now, how can I change that? She said, well, it's Cesar Romero's signed, and it's up to his schedule what we're doing. I called Cesar Romero. And I told him what my problem was. Could we get together in New York and do this, or Pittsburgh it was, do a week's rehearsal, and then I'd go off to Spain and do that movie, then I'll come back. I said, and you know what? You can use my apartment in New York. And he said, I don't need your apartment, honey, but we'll do it. So I changed his schedule, and I changed the schedule of the movie, and I got to do both.
And you did that not by being confrontive, but by just, yeah, that's great.
Don't flinch,
Right.
because you have a no to begin with.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
for a yes.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's wonderful. Abigail Marie Young asks, how do you prepare for a part with a foreign accent? Have you had to deal with accents and dialects?
Well,
and
you
things
try to
like that?
find someone who speaks that language to begin with, or there are dialect coaches, and there are books on it if you can follow all of that. And then try to find movies that have that accent. I did, when I did Anastasia, I spoke 3.5 sentences in Russian. And what was fun was I didn't tell my partner, the young woman who was playing Anastasia, what I was going to do, but I had 2 men come on stage as my guards. And I said, when I speak to you in Russian, pick her up and throw her out. And I did. I said it in Russian to throw her out. And these guys came along and picked her up, and she was screaming. She had no idea what was happening, which was wonderful. Then just before she was thrown out, I said, stop in Russian, bring her back.
That's great.
And it was so exciting and difficult. Russian's a hard language.
Yeah.
But I went to someone who spoke Russian, who was Russian, and I wrote it down and listened to it, and I put a tape on and heard it so I could hear it over and over again. That's what you do.
Practice it in life,
Yeah.
maybe take it out in the
Yeah,
world and
yeah.
just see how it feels.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Cool. Great. Maria Van Way says, you are a superb actress, and my husband loves you.
Oh, thanks.
What's your most memorable experience from Everybody Loves Raymond? Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite
Oh, yeah,
moment?
I have
yeah.
several, but
Yeah.
the one I loved when I read his diary that he wrote when he was 14. I love that one.
That's a great one.
It's just wonderful. I also loved one where Peter Boyle, I had cream all over my face, and he took the cream off. And you saw 2 people who loved each other. You saw the underbelly, which I thought was charming and lovely. And then I loved the one where I taught him to play piano. And that was very fun. So, but it's what they're afraid of humor. When you do comedy, they're always afraid of not humor, but tears. They think, oh no, but I disagree. I think you can make people laugh and cry at the same time. Do it, because it's a wonderful experience.
Absolutely.
You know.
And it happens sometimes in
All the
life.
time.
I mean,
you can go from laughter to tears, or tears to laughter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we better.
Yeah. Yeah. Darlene Bell Grayson asks, I know that casting is not your fault, but why do the Brones not have any West Indian or Spanish neighbors or friends in any, in any recurring roles? Long Island is full of such melting pot of people. Has this never been discussed? And I don't intend to exclude any other ethnicities or disabled people. The point being, is there doesn't seem to be a lot of diversity, and she's one.
There's not a lot of extra people brought into the show.
Right.
It's usually mostly the family.
Right.
But they have, for instance, Brad's partner was an African American woman, and she's wonderful. She's on another show now. And we have had, they really do try as much as they can. But we don't have many extra people.
Right. Right.
Which is too
and that's
bad.
kind of due to the nature
Because
of the show.
of the nature of
and-
the show.
Yeah.
The humor is within that framework
Right.
of this dysfunctional family. And now the other dysfunctional family, which is Fred Willard and George Engel and Chris Elliott.
he's so
I have blisters in my mouth from
Biting
really
your cheek?
biting down
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I just break up. I just break up. I can't stop laughing at them.
Have you ever had a time where the cast just like gets the giggles and you guys can't
Oh.
go on? I mean, or it takes take after take.
On Broadway in Last of the Red Hot Lovers, Jimmy Coco and I did the third act, and they came on, and I said, "Why am I here, Barney? Why am I here?" And then I go on for about 4 pages of dialogue, and he just stands there. So one night I came on, and I said, "Barney, why am I here?" He looked at me and he said, "I don't know." We laughed so hard. We could not. I pinched him. I hit him. The audience didn't know that it was not in the play.
And they loved it, right?
And they thought it was fun. But he said, "I don't know." And I thought, "Oh, my God." Then the other thing I once did on Broadway, in that play as well, my nightmare has always been that I'm on stage and the first 10 rows get up, and they get up like this, and they go. That's my nightmare.
Yeah.
A recurring nightmare, which is
man.
horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm on stage and I look there, out. The first 10 rows are standing up. I said, "I can't be that bad," to myself. And I watched where they were looking, and they were looking over there. And there on stage was a rat this big.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
And with great aplomb,
Yeah.
great courage, I said, "Holy shit, it's a rat."
The script person is going, "Where the hell is
no,
that?"
He,
That's,
he was leaving the theater. Stage manager was leaving the theater screen.
Oh goodness!
Oh my God, it was
Wow.
the biggest rat I've ever seen.
Wow, that puts you through some changes.
Oh
there.
yeah,
yeah.
But isn't that an awful nightmare to
Oh,
have?
whew, man. Max Freeman asks, will you ever reject a job for a TV show or a job on film? Have you ever turned down a
Yes,
part?
I have.
And what's the reason usually that you'll turn
Well,
that
because they demean older women.
down? Yeah.
You know, they make fun of them and just dumb things, and not anything that I would be a part of. No.
You think does that harm your chances of getting a job beyond that? Do you think
No,
about those kinds of
I
things?
just don't want to show.
You're just not going to do that?
No, I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that kind
Yeah.
of a woman.
Draw the line
I'll
here
tell you
and-
something. What I did, it's a cartoon with Leslie Nielsen for Canada only, and it was a very, oh God, horny older woman. And I did it, and it was very funny, and I was very good at it. And then I thought, why am I doing something like that? Why am I demeaning older women?
Right.
And I said, "Get me out of it. I'm out of it."
It
And
was
they-
laughing at rather than
laughing at and
yeah.
making fun of, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of this. I kill my contract," and we did.
Yeah. There must be a feeling of, taking back some control when you say no. I mean, I think oftentimes actors feel very needy and want to
Well,
take
you
any
know-
role that's presented. And
No, I have grandchildren. I want them to be proud of me.
yeah.
I don't want them to be embarrassed by me, you know. So,
They watch the show.
yeah,
Yeah. Big fans.
yeah.
That's great. Okay, let's see here. Lydia asks, in your career, how long have you gone without working? What was the longest stretch you ever
Well,
had?
when I was very young, I was not a beautiful leading lady. I was a character actress, but I really was too young to play those characters, although I'd go and I'd put dark circles under my eyes and put white in my hair, but I still was a young
kid.
girl. So I didn't get the jobs, obviously. And so there was a long time when, as I said, the woman said, "Doris Roberts is working," She wasn't. But I kept going to the actor's studio. I kept working on scenes. I kept working on my craft. I kept making sure that I was learning all the time. And that's what I did. It was great.
There's kind of a follow-up question here. Cynthia Ruby asks, when you did have the down times, how did you stay focused and determined? I suppose
Well,
by keeping focused on the work, or?
I worked. I had to work to put, to pay for rent and all that kind of stuff. I was once in a play with Ethel Griffiths, who was at that time 89 years old, and she had a widow's hump,
Yeah.
and she'd say, do you see my back? And I said, yes. She said, do you see that widow's hump? I said, no. I'm lying to her. She said, you must be blind, my dear. I said, no. And then we did this play, and Gene Hackman was in it, Zora Lampert was in it, Brenda Vaccaro was in it. It was a really terrific group of people. But we opened and closed in one night. And the next night we were there to take our things home. And Ethel Griffiths, this 89-year-old woman, said, darling, what will I do with my flowers? I said, what will I do about my rent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the worst day job that you ever had to have, straight job?
I was a lathe operator.
A lathe operator?
What do I
Wow.
know?
Wow, like
And then
turning table legs
oh,
or
no,
what?
no. There was this one big thing that came down on a piece of stuff, something for an airplane.
Oh, goodness.
And if it didn't come down directly on it, it would swing it and it would spill oil everywhere. And I'd run back 10 feet and yell, help! I didn't last too long.
Yeah,
No.
it didn't work out. Well, we're lucky that didn't work out, because that might have changed your whole career path. Huh? We've kind of talked about this, but Brian Baldini says, you mentioned a few years ago that the most important thing was to stay in class and to lose the chip on your shoulder. And I wonder if you want to say anything about that here tonight.
Yeah.
We have kind of touched on it. Anything else to add to that?
I used to be very angry. I really did. Because I thought, don't they know that I'm good? Don't they know who I am? Right. All that nonsense. I got rid of that. That's a waste of time. And what's worse than that, when you have anger, if you think about it, if you were to hold your fists together right now, you'd realize that every part of your body is tight and tightened up.
Right.
And if you let go, the blood begins to go through your head, which makes you able to think better and faster and be in charge rather than the anger being in charge. And it helps you no way at all to be angry. Mm-hmm. What helps you is to be clear, to be prepared. When you go out for an audition, make a choice. Yeah. It may not be the choice that director wants, but he'll then know you are a good actor. Yeah. And he'll say, you know what, that doesn't work, but why don't we try? And he'll let you do something else. But be prepared. Don't think it's easy. It's not easy. It's a craft. And when you feel that way about it, and you put that energy into it, and that focus into it, and that passion. Now, it's hard to keep passion alive about this world that we live in, because it's pretty horrible, But you need to do that. You need to have passion about the work, your involvement in it, and you have to keep that alive. And if you're not working at this particular moment, do other things. Find friends, and as I said, read plays out loud. Go to places and see if you can put on a play. Think of a play you'd like to do, and friends who you think might be right in the play. Yeah. And see if you can put it on, and then ask people to come and see you. You have to work at it. It just doesn't come to you. And in the working at it, you feel awfully good about yourself. The other way you feel hopeless and you settle. Don't settle, honey, because they're putting nails in the coffin when you settle. And I say that really, I really mean that. Life is good, even though it's difficult. I know I can sit here, big ass on the chair saying, sure, look, she's in a hit show, she makes a lot of money. Whatever. No, I tell you, I've always had this feeling. I have always been passionate about working as an actor, passionate. And whatever it took for me to do it, I would do it. That's my message to you, because it makes you feel worthy. Yeah. It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel younger. I really mean that. Because when you give in and you give up and you settle, you just, it's not pleasant. It's not productive in any way, It doesn't help your blood to go. It doesn't make you want to get up and do an exercise. It doesn't make you want to be a part of life. You just sit there and watch television or read a book or call your friends, or, and it's a negative way of living. It doesn't help you to be negative about anything. It really doesn't. If you put it into action, something wonderful will happen. When my husband died, I went around the country because he had written a book, and I wanted to talk about the book. I was then on Remington Steele, so I could get on talk shows. And then when I'd get on a talk show and people would say to me, how can you do this when your husband's died? How can you be out there doing that? I said, well, there is a time to mourn. And then you got to stop that and put the coffee cup down and get off the chair and get back into life. Go do something for somebody. Go read a book to a child or an older person. Do something. And it makes you feel good about giving. It makes you be back into life and dealing with living situations daily, minute to minute, and it's a much better life than the other, which is self-pity, and, oh, well, it's not going to happen, and this is it, and that's the way my life is.
That's great. That's such good advice, and great idea. Philosophy of how to live. We have time for a few more burning questions. We have somebody in the back here we'll start with. Folks, I'm going to ask you to just wait till the microphone comes to you so that way the people on the tape can hear the question. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Doris.
Yeah.
Through my career, I've always been too young or too old. Have you noticed that you've become more successful the older you've gotten? Have you gotten
Yes.
more choice roles?
Yes, it has happened for me, absolutely, yeah.
And what age would you say that for you happened?
Well, I have been lucky for the past 20 years, really. But I didn't really begin to hit stuff until I was 50,
Wow.
which is odd, I worked.
Right.
I worked, but I didn't get over the top, so to speak.
Good. This gentleman, just hand the mic and we'll go with that. Just, there we go, one right there. Good.
Ms. Roberts, I just want to tell you that you are an inspiration to everybody. You are wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thanks.
Good. Right next to her, let's get that question back here. Good.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll come right back to you. Do we have a minute?
Doris, I just want to say something to you. When I first saw that Raymond was coming on the air, I'm of Italian heritage. And I said to myself, oh my God, this is going to be another show that's going to go right down the toilet. I'm watching an Irish father play an Italian. I'm watching all of this stuff. But I got to tell you, when I'm home, 6 o'clock, I'm watching you on Channel 5. 7:30, I'm watching you on Channel 5. 9 o'clock, I'm watching you. And I got to tell you, you have made, now my dad's been long gone and my mom's been long gone, but you have made my Italian dysfunctional family come alive every week.
That's sweet.
Thank you for that.
Now, how does that make you feel when you hear a story like that?
Hi, I'm Maggie Soderberg. I'm the 50-year-old who's trying to break back into the entertainment
Good for you,
industry.
honey.
And until this time, my day job has interfered with what is my real passion, which is being in the entertainment industry. But at this point, I think you said to start out in a theater group. Didn't you experience stage fright? I kind of think that filming would present a situation of less stage fright.
Do you experience stage fright as much on the stage as in front of a camera? Is there any difference from you? She's wondering if it's a little easier to be in front of a camera. I don't. Yeah.
What's important is focus on what you're doing. Don't worry about the stage fright. And nerves, nerves, can be excitement. Think about it that way. But if you focus on who you are, what your character is, where you've come from, what you're doing, what you've come to do, and stay within that, the nerves are okay. And don't make, if you're shaking, don't ignore it. Look at it. and watch yourself shake, and the audience will think that the character is shaking, not you. It's when you try to hide it that people realize that you, the person, is shaking and not the character.
Doris,
Yes.
You have given us, I don't know how much tonight, so much, but I've had the pleasure of working with you on the episode where you were teaching Marco the piano. One of my favorite episodes, and showed another side of Marie, was the lucky suit. When you're explaining to the FBI chief,
Oh, yeah, that's
when
a
you
great
said,
one.
how long
Oh,
do I
yeah,
have to walk
yeah,
around with a knot in my
yeah,
stomach?
Right.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was a
You
good
are
one.
magnificent.
Thank you so much.
That's very nice. Okay, right here in front.
I just want to thank you for the positive, what you said about being positive. One of my favorite sayings is you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought.
Good.
And a day without laughter is a day wasted. And thank you for all the laughter that you've given us.
Thank
We love
you
you.
so much.
That's great.
Thanks.
A couple of Bob down here in front too after you. Great. We need more microphones. We need like 3 runners here.
Hi, I'm Tracy Weisert, and you might have heard me gasp because my acting teacher was Kim Stanley. And so when you said that, I
Oh
had
my
this
God.
like verklumption.
Great.
But today at the Hollywood Networking Breakfast, Phil Rosenthal asked me to say hello to you. And he said, at your pilot audition, you knocked it out of the park.
Oh,
There you
great.
go. There you go.
Thank you.
Hi, Doris. I love watching Everybody Loves Raymond. There's an episode in there when you created a sculpture, and it's a family show. And I don't want to say any more.
I should have bought that sculpture.
Oh my goodness! But isn't that a little bit more R-rated versus a family show
R-rated?
with children? That shape of that sculpture.
A vagina R-rated?
You know.
I did a sculpture that turned out to be a vagina.
Vagina, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tried to give it to my son, who was shocked by it. And then I tried to give it to the Catholic Church.
Right.
And the nuns came. That was quite a scene, I must tell you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Back here in the very back.
Hi, Doris. For someone who does not have representation, would you suggest going with a manager or an agent first? And also, why is a boutique agency better than a bigger one, especially if you're someone unusual?
I'd go wherever I can get someone to represent me. Whoever that is, I would go with, yeah. Manager or otherwise. My son is now my manager, which is hysterical and wonderful. He worked in television for 12 years. He worked on the Newhart show. He was a co-producer and did a lot of work. And then he had to have a major operation, and when it was done, he was out of the business for over a year. He went back and they offered him a third of his salary. And he was so disillusioned. And someone said, why don't you make him your manager? And I thought, oh, no way, are you crazy? And then I thought, I'll ask him. I said, Michael, would you like to be my manager? Would you think that could work? He said, no. I said, okay, let's think about this. You know everything there is to know about the back side of show business. You know about what it is to be a producer. You know about the money. You know about all of that. You know about editing. You know about all of that, casting. I have a career. People know who I am now. It'd be wonderful. You will negotiate for me. You'll take care of all of that. And we'll keep the money in the family. Why not? Let's try it. So we tried it, and I want to tell you, God bless him. He is the toughest son of a gun I've ever known. And we fight about things all the time. I was like, yeah, take it. He said, no. And he's wonderful.
Now, how does your son get away with saying no to you when no, you won't take
He
no for
doesn't
an
get
answer
away
from
too
anybody else?
easily.
Okay, good. In the back.
Hi, S. Rachel Lovey. You do both so well, comedy and drama. Do you feel different as an internal or an external process when you're doing comedy versus drama?
Not from me. I give it the same intention. The difference is the choices. In other words, I did a show early on in Everybody Loves Raymond, and one of the writers said to me, really let him have it. Well, see, I have a very deep chest voice. This is who Doris is. But Marie doesn't talk like that. Marie says, are you hungry, dear? I'm an octave higher than what I usually speak because my chest voice is too strong. And you might not like that, lady. So that's part of it. And the other thing is, again, everything I do stems from love no matter what I say. So that cushions it from her being a virago or someone that you really would hate.
Right.
But I have the same intention in doing comedy as I do in drama.
Huh.
The same thing. I don't know that I'm being funny. I just happen to have wonderful timing. I really do. That's me. Oh, I'm telling you everything tonight, my God. I never knew my father. He, as they said, went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came home. I write about him in my book. I have one page dedicated to Daddy, Ode to Daddy. And it's the man who had the sperm with the tail that made the journey, period.
Oh. There you go. What else can you say? You know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
What the hell was my thought behind that? There was something great about it.
Talking about approaching it all from love and the approach is the same, choices.
Yeah, oh, the one thing he gave me, that's what it was. His mother's family were all in vaudeville, and what would have been my first cousin was a headliner in the Orpheum Keith circuit and was Anna Hell's leading man. He wrote lyrics for Sigmund Romberg. He had reviews that were greater than any cantor. So the DNA is in me.
Ah.
So I can thank him for that, but that's about it.
There you go. There you go. Now, do you approach television different than film, different than stage? It's still the same process.
Wait. If you're in film and you've got a close-up, you can't do a lot of that.
Right.
Because they can't use it.
Right.
You have to have the same intention. And just don't make a lot of faces. You know.
Right. Good. Who's our next? Here we go.
Doris, I have an interesting plug for your book. My mom is an Italian lady, lives in Cincinnati, and says that you have recipes in your book. She has copied them out, taped them on her kitchen, and she says that's her new cookbook.
Yeah, I thought after each chapter there's a recipe. Because I thought if you got bored reading about me, you could
go out and cook. Yeah. Do you like to cook? I mean, you must like to cook.
I used to. I don't.
You don't
anymore.
anymore.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I'd like to find out how long it takes to memorize the lines for one segment of Raymond.
Say that?
Memorization. How long does it take you to memorize the script?
Well, what happens, I'll tell you, this is the hard part about it. You come in on Monday and you sit around a table and you read the script out loud. Now, the people that are there are from HBO, CBS, Worldwide Pants, and all the writers. That's a lot of people to have a comment about a sitcom, but they do. Then we put it on its feet, and we rehearse all day, and about 4 o'clock, we do it in front of the writers. Then we go home, and about 11 o'clock at night, there's a new script on our doorstep. So what I've memorized that day gets dumped sometimes, or it gets transformed to some other page, or they've cut out words, or transposed words. That's the hard part of it, to dump core and then start again. So you do that on Tuesday, you get it on its feet, you rehearse it, and about 4 o'clock, you do it for the network and the writers. And at 11 o'clock that night, there's another script. Yeah. So the tension builds on memorizing the new stuff and letting go of the old stuff. Then on Wednesday, the crew comes in, and we work with the crew, and we know where we're moving, and we get blocked in little numbers and little colors. Well, my color is green. I don't particularly like it, but I got that color. Doesn't go right with my skin. Anyway.
It's color money, though.
No, yeah. But I mean, that's what we do, and we do a run through. And again, we come in on Thursday, we shoot it on Thursday. We start at about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and we rehearse all morning long. Then we do a run-through for the writers and the producer, and then we break for lunch and hair and makeup, and then we do the show sometimes at 3 o'clock, sometimes at 5 o'clock. Even when we're doing the show, we'll do each scene twice. And I do have an executive producer don't tell them, who insists that you say the words exactly as written. In other words, if it were written, Raymond, are you hungry? And I said, are you hungry, Raymond? He'd be very upset. But you know, that's part of the game. Sure. But even once we do it once for an audience, the writers will come and say, don't say that, try this joke, try that joke, whatever. And so you have to be open and not be terrified. And if you come from theater, you're terrified you're going to make a mistake in front of an audience. And we mustn't be able to, it's hard for me to do that. I don't want to make a mistake, you know. But that's the stress of it. But it's a great job because you're home on Thursday nights by 9 o'clock, and every other night you're home by 6. It's a good job.
Yeah.
On Remington Steel, we used to work 18 hours a day, and we were so exhausted. It was terrible. And I remember once, Pierce, that handsome guy, had Bell's palsy. The whole side of his face had dropped, and he called and he said, I can't come in. The side of my face is all fallen. They said, it's okay, we'll shoot you from that side.
Oh, man. Wow. Wow. Compassionate group, aren't they?
Yeah. So working 18 hours a day, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
You know, it's too tough.
Yeah.
You really become old on those shows. You know, it's too tough. Watch these kids, you'll see them.
Right.
In a year or two, they're beginning
Shown.
to get lines and jowls. It's too much, it's too much, you know.
Doris, I wonder if you could give people some advice or tips about how to conduct themselves when they're a guest on the show. When they come on as a guest star or they got a supporting role.
Okay.
Because you're coming into basically a family unit there.
Right.
How do you
I
deal
think
with
it's very difficult to come in as a guest on a show that's running because that's a family and it's hard to get into that family. Right. You're an outsider, your character is an outsider, it's not part of the family. And I go out of my way to talk to anybody who is a guest on our show because I've been in that position. Yeah. And it's awful. You know, you feel, oh, where do I go? My room is outside somewhere, you know. I just have to sit there and look like a dodo bird, and I don't want to interrupt them because they're all studying. So it's hard not to feel rejected, you know, but don't. It's because there's such little time and things are changing so rapidly that whatever time they have, they're either on the phone saying, well, what happened to the kid? He broke his tooth, you know, or something like that. Because they all have children, and they all have a family, and they all have a life to go home to. But it's not because we don't want to be friendly. It's just there's no time for it, unfortunately. But if you come on the show that I'm on, I will always talk to you. Because I know how difficult it is, and I don't want you to feel, you know, rejected. I mean, we're rejected all the time in our business.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. You've talked about how involved and how much time it takes and so forth, and you also said there that that you have a beau. I was wondering, where does well, first of all, how do you find time for personal life? And secondly...
Oh, honey, I can find time for that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yay!
And how much do you depend on expanding that personal life so that you have that much more to bring back to the work?
I'm open to life. Whatever's coming my way, I'm going after it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have charities that I spend a great deal of time with. I have one charity called Children Affected by AIDS Foundation. And this past year, I put together a night of comedy that was incredible. I had Lily Tomlin, Ray Romano, Wayne Brady, Drew Carey, Gary Shanlon, and who else? Who?
George Lopez.
George Lopez.
Wow.
One night at the Wilshire Theater, and we raised $250,000.
That's great. That's great.
That's one. Then I have another charity, which is incredible. It's called Puppies Behind Bars. People put up money for a puppy to be trained for 15 months, and it's given to an inmate in prison. And that inmate teaches this puppy, and at the end of 15 months, the puppy's tested. If it tests well, it becomes a seeing eye dog. Or if it doesn't test as well, it's given to a senior home for older people. And if that doesn't work, it's given to a child with a slight sight problem. what happens is that it's a win-win situation, a win-win-win situation, because the inmate learns responsibility. First of all, there's a living creature that loves him or her unconditionally, and they learn focus, and they learn responsibility and self-esteem, and when they get ready to come out of prison, we get them jobs, and we find a place for them to live, and it's a great, great organization. So between that and my 3 grandchildren, and the work, and the bow, and my friends, and I love to go out.
There you go.
Oh, please, yeah. That's why I don't cook anymore.
Yeah.
There's little time left.
Yeah.
But I'm filling it all in, honey. I'm going to rest when I'm dead.
Yes, sir.
Maybe.
Yes, sir.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you, after Marlon Brando passed away, there was an article that he started a new way of acting. Do you have something to tell about Marlon Brando? Did you learn something about
A new way of acting?
Yes.
They talked that after he passed, that he brought sort of a
There's
new,
no question he changed acting, not only in our country, but in England. No question about it. I was lucky enough to see him in Streetcar Named Desire. I cannot tell you. That was lightning in a bottle. He was the most exciting thing I've ever seen on any given stage. And everything he's ever done. It was sad to read sort of the gossipy garbage about him at the end, that he did an animation and he wore a woman's clothes and makeup and all that. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't terribly normal. But he was a great actor. No one touches him. I mean, he was incredible. And I used to see him in New York a lot, and I used to see him with Wally Cox, who was a little, very frightened little guy.
Mr.
It was
Peepers.
just the most ridiculous, because Brando was, you know, testosterone.
Yeah.
He really was extraordinary to watch. And he was fearless. Fearless. I mean, look at you see some of those things, his early pictures, no one can touch him. You don't know what the hell he's doing, but you are glued to him. You never. I think there was a danger in him, a wild sexuality in him. You never knew quite where it was going, which kept you on your toes and you watched intently. You know, that doesn't happen very often, does it? I mean, I can't think of. Well, Sean Connery was kind of exciting like that too, but really, whatever. I thought he was a great man, great, you know, wacko, but.
I asked you earlier what makes a good director, and we're touching now on some of the things that make a good actor. What other thoughts do you have about that? What makes a good actor? Fearless, making choices, all these things.
Imagination.
Imagination.
Willingness to try. Most important, listen.
Yeah.
Really listen to your partner. I mean, I cannot tell you, it drives me crazy when you're with actors who won't look at you and they're all over the place looking for. I mean, I remember getting up on a table doing a Playhouse 90. The director, Paul Bogart, said, "Doris, what the hell are you doing up there?" I said, "Looking for the lens," because there was an actor who just was hogging the lens. You couldn't get near it. Listen.
Yeah.
Acting is reacting. Acting is being a person. If you watch the 6 o'clock news, you'll see the best acting ever. Because actors, we love to cry. We love to be dramatic. You know, we're drama queens in so many ways. But at the 6 o'clock news, they come up to a man whose son has just been killed, and they put a microphone in his face, and he says, I don't know. He was walking across the street, and there was nothing in the way, and all of us, oh my God, and he breaks down. That's acting. Trying not to cry, trying to be courageous. That's acting. Or to have what Stanislavski calls clever ways of covering up what you're feeling. Creative hiding. You know, we do this in life all the time. We'll talk to somebody that we really are angry with, and we don't act that way at all, that's very creative hiding. Because underneath we want to think, listen, you bitch, you talk to me like that again, I'll kill you. But it's true.
Yeah.
We are creative hiders.
Yeah.
And to do that in acting is wonderful. But to listen and to be a person and to be there, not somewhere off or not worrying about the audience or do I look well. I did a pilot with someone, a wonderful 40s movie star, and we were playing detectives. And every time I'd come into a room and there was a dead body, I'd go, oh, God! And they'd say, what are you doing? I said, have you ever seen what a bullet does to a body? Never in the movies or on television do you see what bullets do to a body. Because if you did, maybe those kids wouldn't be taking guns out like that. It is horrendous. All you see is a splatter of red blood on a white wall, you know, or on the pool, or a little bit of blood streaming out. But it's horrible what it does. So I kept saying, every time I see a dead body, I'm going to do that. ABC wasn't too happy with me. But my co-star, she'd come on and she'd say, what about this dress? You think this looks good? Is this? I said, honey, the killer is chasing us. We don't care what we're wearing, you know.
Kind of missing the point there, wasn't she? Yeah, yeah.
But I really do believe if you are generous with your partner and listen and hear and react. If you watch me on television, I am never dead. I don't wait for my line. I have a whole life going on. And just the look I give Peter is enough. Because I'm alive. I'm not waiting for my line to live up to it and wake up. No. I'm living that moment, that woman at that given moment. And that's all my mind is on. It's not on, unless my grandkids are in the audience, then I'm crazy. Then I'm saying, are they watching me? Are they watching me?
Hoping you measure up. Right?
Oh my God, I'm so nervous with them, it's terrible. Terrible.
That was just wonderful advice. This whole evening has just been delightful.
I'm glad.
And I just want to, I want to make sure we get back together and do something about the ageism. Let's have a panel down here in Screen Actors Guild.
I got that.
Best of luck. I hope you get that fourth Oscar, Emmy this year.
Thank
Wonderful.
you all.
Doris Roberts.
You were fabulous. Good.